What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today. We got a fair amount of interesting stuff to talk about in today's stream. But before we get into all of that, please, everyone, turn on those post notifications, smash that like button, subscribe, tell your friends about this channel, and let's get into all of this great New York Mets news. So, we have 4 games under the books for the New York Mets. The New York Mets have played their first official full series and 4 games of the 2022 season. And, I mean, with the exclusion of today, I say it went pretty well. So in today's stream, I will be going over the New York Mets and Washington Nationals series preview, and then, summary. And then we will be going over, as you can see in the background, I have my Mets and Phillies hat, the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies series preview. So we will be getting into all of that today. Super exciting to talk about baseball. I'm just glad baseball's back. Crazy to think, a month ago we would honestly be questionable if there really would be baseball. So let's get into all of today's topics. So diving into game 1. As you can see, opening day was this Thursday. It felt a while ago for some weird reason, but opening day, it was supposed to be a good day. Obviously, we did not have Jacob deGrom on the mound for opening day, so that was kind of a bummer. But Tyler Mcgill came on the bump for the New York Mets and dominated. This dude came on and showed that he does not mess around. Tyler Mcgill got the honor of having the opening day start, and that's, to a lot of people, that's really something big. Not everyone gets to, have the opening day start, and Mcgill was fortunate enough too. So yeah, really good appearance out of Mcgill. Obviously, Tyler Mcgill went 5 innings, surrendered 3 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and of course 6 strikeouts. Obviously, he pitched a total of 68 pitches, and only 47 of them were strikes. So I will say that is pretty good. I'll say that his command to the zone was really on point. But overall, what I really enjoyed out of Mcgill was the fastball. Obviously, the fastball combination really looked a lot heavier. It looked a lot, his stride overall really looked good. Mcgill just really pounded the zone well. He added some velocity to his pitches, and I think that's really going to help him out quite a bit this upcoming season. So I am beyond excited for that. Mcgill really showed that he is here, and he wants that starting rotation spot. He seems to prove himself worthy, I guess you could say. But I really liked what we saw out of Tyler Mcgill. There is no doubt about that. Following McGill's exit, clean, we had Trevor May come in. Trevor May did give up 1 homer to Juan Soto. Hey, I'm not going to hold him against that. That's obviously a hard at bat. But otherwise, May seemed to look fine. You had Adam Ottavino come in following that for an inning. Ottavino looked pretty good. His slider was really connecting. I really liked what we saw out of Ottavino. Very good start there from him. We had Seth Lugo come in. Once again, we were seeing a lot of whiffs, swinging and misses. I really do think Seth Lugo is going to be a huge guy this upcoming season for the New York Mets. I really do. I think he's going to have a big bounce back season compared to his last year. And then, of course, we had Edwin Diaz, who did come in. Yes, it wasn't a safe situation, but hey, really, really interesting to have Edwin Diaz come in. Get his foot through the door. So that was the pitching for game 1. Getting into some of the offensive production, we did see the first run of the New York Mets season was McCann, who got hit by a pitch. Obviously, hitting by pitches and batters getting hit was something pretty big for the Mets this series, and we will definitely get into the hit by pitches once I am done with the series recap and summaries and all of that stuff. But yeah, so first run was McCann getting hit by the pitch. Oh, well, it happens. What are you going to say? Following that inning, Marte did ground out into a fielder's choice. So yeah, okay, maybe you can make the argument the first 2 runs of the series weren't the best, but hey, you got runs, so who cares? Going into the 6th inning, obviously the Mets got their first official run based on a hit, which was a Mark Canha single to center, driving in Pete Alonso. Later on in the 6th inning, Jeff Mcneal wanted to get in on some of the action. What did Jeff McNeil do? Jeff McNeil had a single to right field, first hit of the season. And then following that in the 7th inning, Francisco Lindor had a single to left center, an RBI. So 5 runs in total. Mets offense looked pretty good in this first game, I will say. The offense really did seem to show up. Obviously, we had lot of guys really just provide some offensive production. So very good to see out of that. So that was the first game. Obviously, Tyler Mcgill was eligible for the win. Mets did look good, obviously, 4 walks in total. They got on base a total of 14 times, and they didn't steal any bases, but hey, that is okay. Getting into game 2, which was Friday's game, we had Max Scherzer on the bump for the New York Mets. Mad Max was making his debut for the New York Mets against pretty much his former team in the Washington Nationals. So this was a huge game. This was on Apple TV. I know we are going to go over that. A lot of people were not fond of the Apple TV thing. I get it. That's okay. I wasn't either. We had Max Scherzer on the bump for the New York Mets against his former team, and he pitched pretty solid. I really will say he mixed up his pitches well. He was pounding the zone very well, a ton of swinging and misses. He gave up 1 or 2 unfortunate lucky barrels, but hey, it's early in the season. I'm not going to hold him against that. But Scherzer going 6 innings, only surrendering 3 hits and 3 runs, a walk and 6 strikeouts. Isn't super bad. Pitched a total of 80 pitches, 53 of those being strikes. So I will say, honestly, pretty solid outing out of Max Scherzer. Really good to see him get a little nice honor from his former team. Following that, we did have Drew Smith come in for an inning. Pretty solid there. Same thing for Seth Lugo and then Sean Reed-Foley. Following that, in terms of the Mets offensive production, we had Jeff McNeil, who had his first homer on the season. It was Jeff McNeil's birthday, as a matter of fact. So this was Jeff McNeil's pretty interesting. Jeff McNeil also hit a homer on his birthday last season. So Jeff McNeil went back-to-back years with hitting a home run on his birthday. So I found that pretty interesting. So, you don't really see that a whole lot, but good to see McNeil do that. Like I said, McNeil is, he's not necessarily a power hitter. He's trying to get rid of that launch angle, nonsense. But, good to see him, hit for some power there. Following that, Robinson Cano had a 2-run single. Going into the 5th inning, Marte had a double to bring in Nimmo. Going into the 6th inning, Marte had a single to left center, 2 runs in, Canha and Mcneal. And then in the 9th, McNeil, following a hour rain delay, wanted to get in on some of the action. And what did Jeff McNeil do? He had an RBI single to drive in 1. So that was game 2. Scherzer got the win. Very good outing there. Getting into yesterday's game, Saturday's game, we had Chris Bassitt on the bump for the New York Mets. And I will say Chris Bassitt really did look solid for his New York Mets debut. I really liked what we saw out of him. I really did. I think he looked like a solid guy. Going a total of 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 93 pitches overall, with 66 of those in the strike zone. Pretty solid there. Pretty solid start out of Bassitt. Obviously, we know that this Nationals team does definitely have a couple of solid heavy hitters. Whether that could be a guy like Juan Soto or Josh Bell or Nelson Cruz. And I will say, listen, when it comes to the Nationals, I get it. They're not really the best team. I think it's their pitching. I mean, their rotation is complete utter garbage. But they do have a couple solid bats in there. I mean, if you maybe have to deal with the first inning. I mean, I doubt Soto would lead off, but if you have like Soto, Cruz, and Bell, I mean, that's a solid, 2, 3, 4, kind of start right there. So yeah, I mean, really interesting start from Bassitt. Obviously, his slider was on point, connecting with McCann behind the plate. So really good start out of him for there. Following that, called to the bullpen. Drew Smith came in back-to-back days, looked electric. Dolly Rodriguez made his other Mets debut. Recently just got him in the Miguel Castro trade. And then Adam Ottavino came in to finish it out. In terms of the Mets offense, they were a little quiet in this game, I will say. They did rely on a lot of walks. They did walk 5 times, but they were a little quiet in terms of the offensive production. But getting into the 5th inning, Pete Alonso with the bases loaded hit a grand slam. His first grand slam of his career, believe it or not. Hitting 106, now 107 homers. This was his first grand slam of his career. So he was really ecstatic and electric about that. So that put the Mets up 4-0. And then going into the 9th inning, I guess kind of an interesting run, but Brandon Nimmo did score on a wild pitch. So kind of interesting there, but Mets win game 3. Getting into game 4, today's game, which was really the stressor. That was really what pissed people off. And listen, I understand. So let's get into that. So getting into today's game, we had Carlos Carrasco on the bump. And I think most people, honestly, were very skeptical to see Carlos Carrasco on the bump. We know that he always does have his first inning complexities, and that was kind of a thing for Carrasco last season. And I think a lot of baseball fans, including myself, were very timid to see, what is Carrasco going to do in his first game. And he started off the first inning rough. He gave up a solo home run to Nelson Cruz, moonshot to center, an unlucky barrel there. But I will say, for the most part, he did look solid in the rest. He got out of that first inning, striking out the next two hitters behind him. So I will accept that. But following that, Carrasco did have a very good start, kind of what he did a lot last year. He struggled in the first inning and then pretty much beat Tom Seaver through the second two when he gets taken out. And that's literally what he did. 5.2 innings, surrendering 2 hits, a run, 0 walks, 5 strikeouts, 72 pitches overall, with 50 of those being in the strike zone. So he pounded the zone pretty well. His command was pretty on point. I will say, I think in the first inning, his command was a little so-so, but solid appearance from Carrasco. I mean, I don't really know what the issue is with Carrasco in the first inning. I would much rather Carrasco, I guess, struggle in the first inning and give up 1 run than, completely just slump in the second and third inning. So, I'll give Carrasco that. I mean, I don't know what it is really with Carrasco. A lot of people say, oh, well, hey, why don't you have a bullpen game or have an opener start? I don't really know if that's going to make a difference. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's him getting warmed up. Does he need to, warm up a little bit more? Does he need to throw some more bullpen before he goes out to start? I really don't know what it is. I mean, I looked at the home and away stats to see, maybe he just does bad. Maybe he pitches worse in the first inning at home versus away. Seemed to be the same thing looking at last year's stats. But yeah, I don't really know what it is with Carrasco. I mean, hopefully this is, a big thing down the line. You do kind of hope that he can kind of try and figure this out. Overall, not really super worried about that. But following Carrasco, Chasen Shreve did come in. One of the few lefties the New York Mets do have, obviously, on this team. So Chasen Shreve came in. Shreve honestly pitched pretty fine. I mean, his command was pretty on point. Obviously, we did know how that turned out to be. He did give up a run, obviously. I guess we're going to get into it. As you know, I am a big Pete Alonso fan, so this is tough to talk about. But Pete Alonso did have his fair share of issues, unfortunately, at first base today with what was his face? With Fox on third base. Louis Fox. He was on third base, and a nice little dribbler was hit, kind of bunt to the first base foul side. And Pete Alonso grabbed it, underhanded it, and obviously he was safe. Poor decision-making by Alonso, whatever. And then obviously next thing coming up, obviously Nelson Cruz, it wasn't Nelson Cruz, I forgot who it was, but also hit some light contact, and he failed to turn the double play. So unfortunate defensive there from Alonso, kind of put the game in jeopardy, which really was unfortunate. But overall, I mean, I think obviously there was a lot of questions with really what went down today. First start, I guess getting into some of the managerial thinking of it, taking a look-see. Trevor Williams was put in. For starters, I don't really understand why Shreve started the 8th inning. I was a little confused why he started that. He, obviously that lefty presence is probably the biggest idea why. And Shreve gave up 1 hit, and then he was taken out, and then they put in Trevor Williams. And obviously Trevor Williams is a ground ball guy, so you had a runner on. Showalter was hoping that, a nice ground ball, maybe a strikeout from Williams, and then you turn a double play. Boom, you're out of the inning. Unfortunately, the defense did not really succeed in that. Unfortunately, things did backfire extremely for the Mets. But in my opinion, you had Trevor May warming up in the bullpen, and why warm him up if you're not going to use him? That's what I don't understand. I get it. And, I don't know if this is going to be an issue for the Mets where, Showalter is kind of a guy who likes to play all of his players. He doesn't want these guys, quote unquote, sitting and rotting on the bench. And to be honest with you, I don't know if that's going to be an issue, because are we going to be seeing games where, okay, Williams or whoever is going to have to come in because he hasn't pitched in 3-4 days, regardless of the situation, if he's a ground ball pitcher or whatever, I don't want to see a situation where, something like that is going to happen. So, I guess you pray, fingers crossed, that this won't be a regular thing where, we're not going to be seeing, I guess, a lot of guys, I guess you could say, making regular starts, whether that's, some of the, back end of the bullpen guys, but, we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting going ahead. So, fortunate day for the Mets. Obviously, if the Mets won, I think most people would be extremely happy. I get it. Now people are going into this, the debate of, oh, who should be DH? Oh, get Alonso out, make him the DH and Dom Smith play first every day. Keep in mind, I mean, not defending Alonso. I'm gonna be not biased here as much as I'm an Alonso fan. 24 hours ago, everyone was praising the dude. Oh, grand slam. Oh, he's elite. I mean, yeah, that's offense opposed to defense. But a lot of people wanted Alonso at first starting the season. They said his defense improved, which I think it did. I really do think it improved. He had one unfortunate game, and I understand that. And I don't think people should run around and, start penalizing him for one unfortunate game. Yes, I get it. You really did lose the game practically because of him, and I understand that. But keep in mind, I mean, everyone was kind of been saying, Alonso, he's been much better at first base. And I will say defensively, he really has improved compared to his rookie season. I just think, unfortunately, he had one unfortunate play. And, I was on someone said this before, and I forgot who it was. If you're in here, say if it was you or not. But I saw someone commented before something around the lines of, Major League Baseball had a shortened spring training. And obviously, what's the point of spring training? To get into the groove of things, to get all the errors out of the way, to work on your defense, to work on what you're going to do at the plate. You had a shortened spring training. And I think that was huge on a lot of these guys. In spring training, you work on defensive fundamentals like that. A ball goes down the first base foul line, and there's a runner on third going home. How do you throw it to the catcher? How does the catcher get the tag on? It's stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and, defend Alonso and say, oh, it's fine. It's okay. He's okay. I definitely do think that was an unfortunate move on him. Listen, D. Strange Gordon does definitely have speed. So even if he did throw it upper hand, could he have still made, could Nito, wasn't Nito, but could Nito have, I guess, still technically made the tag? I don't know. We'll see. But overall, just really unfortunate way to end, I guess, the series. Don't get me wrong; I'll take 3 out of 4. That's phenomenal. But I think most Mets fans wanted that sweep. It really would have showed a message to all of Major League Baseball. I mean, being 4-1, that would have been the best record in baseball right now. But I guess 3-1 is what we are going to have to settle with. We're just going to have to see how it goes along. So that was the New York Mets and Washington Nationals series summary. Mets take 3 out of 4. Obviously, Washington Nationals did have an unfortunate series. Obviously, getting into, because I do want to discuss some of it. The hit batters. Obviously, the Nationals rotation and bullpen, some of their command was a little funky and they were a little loose. They were throwing all over the place, throwing high and in. Obviously, James McCann got hit twice. Pete Alonso got hit, and then Francisco Lindor, which really broke the ice. I do kind of want to talk about that because a lot of people were curious and saying, hey, Hayden, what's your take on that? And, listen, Nationals last year in September when the Mets went to DC for, I think it was a 3 or 4 game series, like 3 Mets batters got hit. And the Nationals bullpen, I hate to trash talk teams. I like to be professional when it comes to, Major League Baseball. But the Nationals bullpen is just the pitchers are garbage. So the command was not there, obviously. Hitting 4 guys in, 18 innings, that's pretty bad. None of it was on purpose. Obviously, Alonso, the Marte one yesterday. Well, it's 5 guys. Marte also got hit, but Marte wasn't on purpose. That was a slider, so that's tough. Not saying the other 4 were on purpose, but we did have our first benches clearing brawl, and good to see Buck Showalter really standing up for the team. Marte really chirping at guys. Obviously, you don't really, want to cause any animosity. People on Twitter saying, "Oh, have the pitcher throw at Soto." No, you don't want to do that. One, why? 2, you don't want to create any animosity. Keep in mind, it's literally the first 4 games of the season. Do you really want to start creating animosity and tensions with teams? early in the season. I get it. If it fires guys up, I understand that. I definitely think the Mets got the best payback. They won the series. They won the 2 games or 3 games that they got hit in. So that's the best taste of medicine, not retaliating, not, having the bullpen guys throw at Soto or Cruz or, Alcides Escobar or, Lane Thomas or whoever. The Mets, they got the best medicine. They won. They scored runs. Alonso hit a grand slam. Mcneal got a hit. They scored runs and they outpitched them. Best way, in my opinion, to, I guess, deal with that. So getting into the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies series preview. The New York Mets will be going to Philadelphia, traveling. I can't tell you how far DC is from Philly, probably like 2-3 hours, I guess. But the New York Mets will be traveling to Philadelphia. They are probably on the road right now to Philly, the city of brotherly love. Getting into tomorrow's start, obviously, tomorrow at 6:45. Not sure why it's 6:45. I believe I read something this past offseason where it says the Phillies home games will be at 6:45, which I like that. I do like that. 30 minutes than usual, but I like that. So respect to the Phillies for that. So yes, obviously the Philadelphia Phillies will be playing the New York Mets. Obviously, going into tomorrow's start, we will have Taiwan Walker. And Taiwan Walker is going to have a huge start, obviously. Taking a look at Taiwan Walker, he's coming off of last season where he really got fatigued due to injury. And he kind of, blew himself up in the second half. He had an offseason to recuperate, get his thoughts together. He did have surgery in January on, I think it was his knee or something with his leg. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but he had surgery on that. So that did delay his start of spring training. And obviously there is some concern with the innings pitched and of course the velocity. In his first and only spring training start, he did get shelled against the Nationals, giving up 6 runs. His velocity was not there. A lot of his velocity and his miles per hour zoning around 83 miles per hour. So it's a little bit of an issue, I will say. Obviously, you hope, with Walker, a guy who does rely on heat, that he can try and figure that out tomorrow because, yes, the Mets do have, a very well rested bullpen, which I think is going to be good. But you would really like Walker to really go out there tomorrow and really make a statement and prove that he is healthy and ready to pitch a full season to the best of his ability. So, I'm hoping that, you could get Walker for 5 innings. I could easily see that going wrong, and I could easily see Walker going in the first inning and just Castellanos and Harper just shelling him. I could easily see that happening, and I could easily see him, striking out the side. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. He could pound the zone, mix up his pitches, and the velocity is a little bit of concern. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, velocity doesn't mean anything." Well, for Walker, it kind of does. So. Hopefully his velocity isn't, 85 miles per hour, make it, 96, 97, and I'll be a happy camper. So Walker obviously will be on the bump for the Mets. And obviously for the Philadelphia Phillies, we will have the left-hander, Ranger Suarez. And, last year I was really worried when the Mets were facing a lot of lefties. I said my 3 rules: if the Mets were facing a left-handed pitcher who had a primary fastball and low velocity, the Mets were screwed. Obviously, I think Suarez has a little bit of velocity. So, fair high velocity average, so not really worried there. Does have a nice slider, but really interesting to see the Phillies, how they want to work with Suarez. They put him in that bullpen role, and now they're really ready. Now they're really ready to make him a guaranteed starting rotation spot. And I think that's what all teams should do. So kudos to the Phillies there for doing that with Ranger Suarez. Kind of under the radar type of guy. My apologies, I cannot seem to talk today. But yeah, had a really solid season last year. So I guess we will see what he can get done with the New York Mets tomorrow. So that'll be game 1 at 6:45 tomorrow. Getting into game 2, which will be Tuesday's game. We will have Tyler Mcgill back on the bump, making a second start of the season for Tuesday. Mcgill, like I said, so far in the season is 1-0, 0 ERA, .60 WHIP, a total of 5 innings pitched, surrendering 3 hits and 6 strikeouts. So big thing with Mcgill is keep that velocity jamming, keep that velocity pumping. I guess, be a little cognizant with the innings pitch count, just because, you don't want to blow this guy up coming April. Like I said, and I'm going to say it a million times throughout these streams this season, is that Tyler Mcgill only has 73 innings pitched max in the minor leagues, or just in his baseball career. So I don't want him to be pushed around so much in April and May, and come in June, he's past that and he's fatigued. So be a little cognizant with him. Definitely, I think Mcgill, velocity's up there, the swinging and misses, the whiffs, the strikeout rate. I think he could definitely do something solid against the Philadelphia Phillies. But the Phillies will be having a guy that we are very familiar with in Zach Wheeler on the bump. Wheeler will be making his first start for the Philadelphia Phillies. Obviously, he did have I think it was some forearm issues or some type of medical issue in spring training. So he was shut down and he didn't start practicing till later. So he will be making his first start on the season later than expected. He is supposed to be the ace of this Phillies rotation. He did take that role away from Aaron Nola. And hey, I think Wheeler has deserved it. He proved himself last year, arguably top 3 Cy Young type of guy. And I think he could be in contention this year. So Wheeler will be on the bump. Obviously, he is playing at his home stadium, Philly. If Wheeler has horrible numbers at Citi Field, but not at Citizens Bank. So we will see how he goes. It is his first start in the season, so I would imagine that Joe Girardi and the Phillies coaches will be giving him a pitch count on what he can go up to. I think that would probably make the most sense, and hey, why wouldn't it? So that'll be game 2. Getting into game 3, which will be Wednesday's game. A nice startup here on Wednesday's game, the 105 game. We'll have Max Scherzer on the bump, making a second start of the season. As we could see, Scherzer is 1-0 with a 4.50 ERA, 0.67 FIP, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, a walk, and 1 homer. So yeah, obviously Scherzer, big thing here. Obviously, he is seeing if he could. If he does get 12 more strikeouts, the Philadelphia Phillies would have the most strikeouts against him. A little fun fact there. But yeah, big thing with Scherzer. I mean, the hamstring is definitely a little bit of a concern. Luckily, with his windup, he doesn't really seem to put much pressure on his hamstring. So I think that'll be good for Scherzer. But no really major goals for Scherzer. Just go out there, pitch, do what you usually do, I guess. And obviously, opposing, we will have Aaron Nola, ground ball pitcher. Definitely, the Mets do have some power in this lineup, and Alonso and Escobar maybe just hit the ball on the ground. I mean, the Phillies defense isn't that great. So, maybe you can get lucky there. Definitely going to be interesting. Nola did have a pretty good start last time. He made his season debut against the A's. Unfortunately, unfortunately, he did pretty well. He did, get a little shelled towards the end, but solid start for Aaron Nola. So, yeah, the New York Mets will be going into Philadelphia to play a 3-game series. It is going to be huge. We are going to have to see, what's going to happen for this team. Obviously, the Phillies are kind of red hot. I mean, they really do have a nice core that they've got with that Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper, Mickey Moniak's obviously hurt, which is unfortunate. Bryson Stott. So little nice core there. But I will say the Mets offense really did prove itself against this Nationals team. So far, the Mets offensive team stats have a .318 average, 17 runs, 34 hits, 3 homers, 425 OBP, and a .458 slugging. So obviously, this team offensively is leading the league in a lot of these offensive stats. Yeah, it's been 4 games, so I'm not going to, praise it, but really interesting there. So I'm excited for the New York Mets going into town to be playing the Philadelphia Phillies. Can't wait for it. As you can see, got my Phillies and Mets hat stuff behind there. So let's get into all of your guys' comments and questions. I did definitely want to do that, but what's going on, everyone? Gio, Ryan, what's going on? Trey, Cal, Connor, I'm doing well. Jed, Ibeen Dose, what's up? Cal, Kobe, Marco. Cal says 3 out of the 4 to start off the season. I'll take it. Plenty of more moments to come. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, only 4 games into the series. I'm not going to dwell on this game so much. I'm looking forward to it. Super exciting. Seth, what's going on? Seth says, hey, let's go Mets. What's up, Hayden? What's going on, man? Marco says taking 3 out of the 4 games is good. If we could do that more often, more times, then we'll not just be. Yeah, exactly. Take series. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not asking for sweeps. I mean, this would have been a sweep in a normal 3-game series, but I'm not asking for sweeps this season. Just take series wins. Take 2 out of 3. Take 2 out of 4 from teams. if you're playing the Diamondbacks and, yeah, take the series sweep, but, do what you got to do. Kobe says, hey, Hayden, Mets taking 3 out of 4 from the Nationals is what I expected. Offense showed up with Canna on base machine, Alonso grand slam, Mcneal hits, Lindor homer, and much more. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this team really looks much different. I mean, I know it's a short sample size, so I'm not, going to praise this team so much. But, I understand it was against the Nationals, but they really did show different stuff. Keep in mind, the Mets played the Nationals last year. And, if you look at it, they really did honestly struggle against the Nationals last year. And we saw a lot of fundamental hitting, productive hitting. We saw, now we have another guy in this team that will take a lot of pitches. You have Brennan Nimmo, and now you have Canna. We saw that 10-pitch at bat, the 7-pitch at bat with Canna. And that's going to be huge for him going down the season. Having these guys that will take long at bats, really can prove something for this team. I really do think it's going to be big. Having these type of table setter guys, and people are saying like, why is Canna and Mcneal batting so low in the order? And I don't mind that as much. I don't mind having, a guy in the 8th or 9th spot or 7th spot with a high on base percentage and high average and a high likelihood to get on base, because that could really set something up. Now, there's no more pitchers batting, so you have the DH. So now that really changes up the whole mentality and the play of the game for pitchers. So it's going to be interesting, honestly, to see how a lot of teams, I guess, to see if they could take advantage of that. But overall, I mean, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping for plenty of more, like you said, bases for Canna, homers and grand slams for Alonso, Mcneal hits, Lindor production overall. So trust me, man. I mean, I am really excited, and yeah. I've Doe says, do you think Robinson Cano will be getting this much playing time this season? Yeah, I do not want to see Cano get this much playing time. If Cano gets this much playing time, I will probably be very upset. Listen, if you're not going to be playing guys like J.D. Davis and Dominic Smith, who I would much rather see, then so go for it. Like, listen, if you have a left-handed pitcher and, you want to substitute in Cano, that's fine. But as of right now, I really do want to really start seeing J.D. Davis get more playing time. And we saw, I mean, he came up in that role today, and what did he do? He hit the ball hard to opposite field. Yeah, it was caught, but, I mean, he made Soto run in for it. So, I'll say that. I mean, he made him run in for his money. So, give J.D. more playing time. Trey says, Mets are looking good. I can't wait for the Phillies to see how really good they are. Batters, bullpen, and starting pitching. Yeah, I mean, this is the real test. I'm not gonna, come here and say, the Nationals, that's it's a cheesy series. No, I think the Nationals definitely do have some type of production there. I mean, I definitely think Soto, Bell, and Cruz is definitely a little complex to get out if you're in a jam. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll see how that goes. Cal says Tyler Mcgill seems to be proving himself. Yeah, I mean, he seems to be proving himself pretty much. I agree. Seth says the Mets rotation is looking good, especially having to deal with the injuries. Crazy to think Scherzer would have the most runs given up so far. Yeah, and I mean, listen, and I think that's the big reason why I'm glad the Mets have so much depth. I mean, it's no secret that DeGrom was going to give you issues this season, which it proved. But it's good that the Mets have this depth, and not just, inadequate depth, but guys that will provide. I'm not saying DeGrom-like stuff, but all-star caliber stuff. I mean, Mcgill looked phenomenal. Obviously, that's why we acquired Chris Bassett. That's why we, really stepped up on our bullpen. That's why we still have David Peterson. That's why we have a lot of, practically half of a rotation in AAA ready to be called up in guys like Yamamoto. So I think it's going to be interesting, but good point there, Seth. Joe says, can't believe Buck wouldn't pitch it for Cano and Nimmo. Yeah, Joe, I agree with you on that. I think my biggest worry there was, why are you leaving Cano in? Yet, having Cano in this lineup is one thing. Why is he batting third? I mean, have you seen Cano's numbers against Doolittle? They're not that great. So, I in my opinion, and I'm assuming in most people's opinions, they probably would have had J.D. Davis up. If you want to give Cano all this playing time, then what's the point with JD and Dom Smith? Then you should have traded Dom Smith then for the Padres. I mean, that would have been a horrible trade, but then what's the point? So, we'll see. The pitching is looking good. I agree, Santiago. It is. Mr. Brandon, what's going on? Kobe says, I hope some of the big prospects that were called up this year to start will make some noise soon. Bobby Witt Jr., Abrams, Julio Rodriguez, Torkelson, and Stott. Yeah, I mean, the big thing about a lot of these big prospects is a lot of them, not many prospects overall have a huge start in their rookie year. I mean, keep in mind last year, Randy Arozarena, yeah, we knew he was going to win because of his sample size 2020. But before 2020, we didn't. Jonathan India won it in 2021. Who had Jonathan India winning the NL Rookie of the Year? Nobody did. Joe says, yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Trey says, Chris Bassett was excellent. He's got great swagger. He's not afraid to challenge the best hitters, including Soto. We have to remember he used to challenge Trout as well. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think challenging hitters is going to be the biggest thing and not really showing fear. And, listen, when I'm watching and I'm seeing Soto up to bat, we see so many times, Gary, Keith, and Ron, or just, the Mets managers or coaches, want this team to face Soto with no one on. And I mean, that's just how interesting the game of baseball is. They don't want to face any guys that are on when Soto's up to bat. Joe says, I think the Mets need, yeah, they do. Connor says, at least Cookie Carrasco looked good today. He seems to have chilled out with his first inning issues. Otherwise, I think he could be something special this season. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's possible. Obviously, like I said, the first inning complexities was the biggest thing for him. And I don't know why last year, what got into him. I don't know what it is about the first inning. I don't know if it's something mental. I don't know if he needs to be warmed up more. I don't know what it is with him. People say, oh, maybe you could have an opener start for him. I don't know if that's going to solve the issue. I just think as soon as he goes in, and regardless if it's the second inning or third inning, and in his mindset, it's the first inning. And I just don't know if that's going to be an issue for him. So we'll see. Paul says, go Mets. Absolutely. Thomas says, I really think Lugo is going to be dominant in the bullpen this year. The guy's always been a workhorse when necessary, and I've always loved his approach. He's going to expand and say, a guy that knows the strike zone and puts hitters to sleep. I prefer seeing him as an eighth inning setup man, and he's capable of occasionally going 7th to 8th when they're thin in the pen. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think to the extent, and I see Ryan is talking about it, in the chat. The Mets bullpen, they're interesting. Obviously, you have Ottavino, you have Lugo, you have a lot of questions, you have a lot of what ifs. They did get some remedy to fix that left-handed presence. I mean, you have Alex Claudio down in the minor leagues. Possibility they call him up need be if they do need some type of left-handed presence. You have Trace and Shreve. You have David Peterson, which I say David Peterson would be the best in the bullpen. I've always expressed, get all of these guys, these pitchers, these minor league pitchers, as soon as they hit the major leaguers, put them in the bullpen. Like the Brewers did it with Woodruff and Burns. They acclimated them in the bullpen, and when they were ready, when they have the innings pitched and they're ready, they put them in the starting rotation spot. And I really do think that's what teams should do. But yeah, I mean, I think Lugo is going to have a phenomenal season. Yeah, I really hope so. Go Jays, absolutely, Elliott. Mcgill's velocity was impressive in the first game. Yeah, velocity was a big thing. He definitely amped it up by 4 or 5 miles per hour compared to last year. Joe says, I think the 5th spot of the rotation belongs to Mcgill. I don't want to see Peterson anywhere near the mound. Yeah, I mean, pretty much like you kind of just said, kind of like what I just said about Peterson. I'm going to echo that again. If Mcgill could prove himself, I'd be a little worried on having that much trust in, a 4th, 5th starter. Obviously, just because he's a rookie. It's his first full season. We'll call him a rookie, even though, I mean, he could not be, but whatever. I hate to put that much trust in him. That's why. We'll see. I definitely think if he proves himself and he earns it, go ahead. Just, you got to keep in mind that innings pitched. Ryan, what's going on, man? I'm doing well. Yeah, I was not amused with that Apple TV broadcast either. I agree. I literally shut it off and just watched it and listened to other stuff in the background. Yeah, I mean, they're talking about restaurants and just a bunch of nonsense. Like, pay attention to the game. They're talking about Brazilian food during Escobar's at bat. They missed all of Escobar's bat. So, yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was really foolish. Yeah, it's all you could do, Ryan. LFGM. Connor says Mcgill's fastball looked completely different from last year. Heavier, more light uptick in velocity, plus his mechanics looked much smoother. I did mention that. He looked great. Awesome way to start the season. Absolutely. Amari Prod says, what's up, Hayden? Oh, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, Royals got a little banged up by the Cleveland Guardians yesterday, but hey, they walked it off yesterday, so you'll take that, right? Trey says, who has the best DH in the NL? That's a good question. In the NL, so I mean, Mets have a toss-up, so that's kind of hard to say. Phillies, Schwarber. Dodgers would have Muncy. I don't know. Maybe Max Muncy. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, that is the goal, is to get DeGrom back for June. You would really like to see DeGrom back in June or something like that. Goal is to get DeGrom back before the All-Star break. Yeah, get DeGrom back before the break, and isn't back prior to that. So yeah, and I think I just froze. My apologies about that. Absolutely. We played good. Tyler Mcgill deserves to be in the rotation at some point during the season. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't, but I think definitely throughout some time he definitely will prove himself. Like I said, coming June, and let's say coming June, Mcgill starts to get a little fatigue in the rotation. He's past the 73 innings pitched on the pitch count, and you want to go somewhere else, and you want to put him in, a bullpen role and really start to develop him, give the bullpen some depth. I would be all for that. I say go for it. So, that can be something obviously the Mets can and most likely will explore. Bobby Wood Jr. is honestly looking good defensively. He had some nice at-bats here and there. Sure, the stats don't look great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's 3 games. I mean, like I said, I don't see many of these guys having explosive seasons this year. I mean, he's looked solid so far. I mean, I think he has like 2 or 3 hits. Defensively, he's fine. A lot of these guys will look fine defensively. Torkelson looked great. He made a ton of diving catches. Like I said, yeah, I mean, when it comes to rookie of the years, it's tough to judge someone on their rookie season with, the acclimation process. Look at Jared Kelenic. I mean, he was abysmal last year with the Mariners. So time will be the best thing for these guys. Perez and Witt, on the other hand, have one combined. Yeah, Salvi, absolutely. Good to see the bats come alive. Mcneal, Canna, Lindor, Alonso, Marte, Escobar, keep it rolling, says Marco. Absolutely. I'm telling my friend to join the stream. I'm getting him into baseball. We would have watched some of the game today if the Royals weren't destroyed. Well, I appreciate it, man. Definitely excited to see your friend come in. Santiago says, what's the biggest concern for the Mets this season? I'm going to say hitting with runners in scoring position. I know it. We saw it so far in this national series, them hit with 2 outs, and we were seeing fundamental hitting, productive hitting, just a new mentality of hitting with 2 outs and with runners in scoring position. But today we saw some issues where we had nobody out and runner on first and second, strike out, fly ball. So still going to be an issue in the back of my head, obviously. I definitely think it's going to be, but we'll see. Watch the Rumble Ponies game today. I got to say, Mets have some real studs in the farm. Yeah, and I mean, the farm system will be huge for the Mets. I mean, I think they were ranked 15th or 16th. I'm excited to see Alvarez. That's who I'm really excited to see. Mets farm system is going to be something big for them down the line. It's going to help them, whether it's, the middle of the farm, when you're talking your Jalen Palmers and, your Carlos Cortezes of the world, your 20th, round prospect or whatever. You could use them as trade bait. That's how this stuff works. Mets farm system's weird. It's like you have like 4 or 5 guys that are arguably really hyped on, and then the rest is like, okay, I'll say this. A lot of guys in the farm weren't viewed like known. I mean, Alonso and Mcneal, no one really knew much about them in the farm. Yeah, we knew Alonso was a power hitter. Yeah, we knew Mcneal had a weird stance and choke up on the bat, but we didn't know what these guys would come to be. Mcgill, I never even knew about Mcgill before last season. So, really interesting. Yeah, I miss Luke too, man. I agree. Cal says the teams look very productive. Yeah, hopefully. Just keep hitting with runners in scoring position. That is the biggest thing. All Sports Fan Adam, what's going on? Long time no see. He says, hey, Hayden, brother, as futuristic time traveler, I'm delighted to tell you the Mets win 95 games this season. Wow. That's really good, man. I hope that happens. You can see the improvement already in this team. I took very big odds with the Mets. Well, I hope so, man. Definitely, if you could tell me some other stuff that happens, maybe I'll start some sports betting. LFGM, absolutely, Seth, Cal. Royals announcers get off topic sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you get off topics, but they're talking about like completely stupid stuff, the Apple TV people. Hayden, what's going on? He says, how do you feel about today's loss? Yeah, I mean, really just rough loss overall. Fortunately, the defense got the best of the Mets. Try again tomorrow. It's usually baseball history related, though. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're talking about the history of the game or, Gary, Keith, and Ron, the Mets announcers, they get off topic, but they talk about interesting stuff. These Apple TV people are talking about, the most foolish stuff, talking about Brazilian food. They don't even mention one peep of Escobar's at bat. Where at least Gary, Keith, and Ron will say, oh, and there's, a nice little dribbler, by Pete Alonso, and that'll be a base hit for him or something like that. And then they'll continue the story. Where these guys are just going off topic. They just weren't interesting to listen to. And you have Chris Young. I don't know these other two people. Could you believe the Braves lost? Yeah, that was a surprise. I mean, Kenley Jansen looked a little worrisome. I don't know. That bullpen was interesting. Obviously, they almost blew it the first two games practically, 6-5, and then yesterday I think was also a one-run game. So Braves bullpen is going to be big for them this season. How's the weather in Florida? It's pretty nice. Sun setting. It's like 75, 80 today. I'm excited. School's winding down for me. My first year in the books is finished. Trey says Tyler Mcgill is going to be a very good pitcher. I believe he will stay in the rotation. He will replace Carrasco or Walker because at least one of them is going to have an issue through the season. Well, hopefully it's not Carrasco. I mean, like I said, Mcgill is the next man on deck pretty much. Quan from the Guardians, though, he might be the Rookie of the Year leader through 5. The outfielder. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. How is Yes Baseball? Baseball is doing well. Appreciate you tuning in, though. Joe says DeGrom himself came out of nowhere, was drafted. Yeah, I mean, like we said, he was a shortstop. Fun fact, he was from Stetson University, the same school that I actually attend. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing. A lot of these farm guys, these prospects, no one really knows much about them. I mean, Alonso, Mcneal, Nimmo, no one really knew these guys. I mean, yeah, Nimmo and Syndergaard playing the futures game, but like, that's how this stuff works. So, appreciate everyone for tuning in, honestly. We're probably going to call it a stream here. Really do appreciate everyone for tuning in, as always. It was a phenomenal stream. Really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. We did have a high at 17 at one point, so really do appreciate that. Definitely does mean a lot. The season, it's going to be a really interesting season. Going down the line, we're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about on the channel. I will be doing all of these recaps and previews coming ahead, so I am really excited for that. So definitely, everyone, keep on the watch for that. We have a lot of good stuff coming ahead on the channel. I will say we are going to be live streaming a lot regularly. I am going to want to start, talking a lot of interesting stuff coming ahead on the channel. So excited for everyone tuning in. See, we got some weird comments. All right, whatever floats your boat, guys. I do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. I did upload a video last week in regards to what the New York Mets starting rotation, what the New York Mets lineup will look like. Hit over 1,000 views. So definitely, if you guys did have 1,000 views, let's see. Yeah, over 1,000 views. So definitely, if you guys can check that out, that would definitely mean a lot. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream as always. Before we get out of here, please everyone smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you're new to the channel, tell your friends about this channel. Of course, all of that great stuff and much more. Till next time, baseball fans, see ya.